you're right. Also, you're pointing to this idea that when it comes to tech and it comes to capitalism and it comes to growth, it seems like the Trump administration and all the acolytes are like, go, 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 put the handbrake down.
If you're going to make a mistake, grow and win, and we'll figure out later. Don't be the loser, right?
That's right. It's just grow at all costs. Tech equals good, growth equals good, capitalism equals good.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out on the other side, right? And I think just today they announced, as of recording, that I think he tweeted out, Trump did, that if you're investing $1 billion or more in the US, basically you get zero regulations. They're going to turn off all the permitting and all this stuff for environmental permitting and everything else. Basically what he said. And so they're just like, grow, 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 go, go, go. My mother once said to me, and I've just started repeating this to my son, moderation in all things, including moderation. And I love that saying because it just means like, every now and then let your hair down, go get drunk, go do some crazy shit, but think about moderation in your actions. And, this is kind of the opposite of that. And I think the Trump administration has no moderating forces. There are no checks and balances left. He has the courts, he has the Congress, he has everything. And in that sense, there's no moderating forces. And in their policies and the people that he's surrounded himself with, it's kind of accelerate all day, grow all day, tech all day. And look, I think, Hooman, at the end of the day, we and the people listening may ultimately benefit from this in the short to medium term. This is very exciting for VC. It's very exciting for startups, very exciting for tech, very exciting for crypto. As you said, though, the question is, what about society as a holistic ecosystem? Because tech and we exist in a broader context. And I think that's something that the all-in guys and the tech billionaires don't always think about enough. And it's something that might come back to bite us in the ass. So we've got to keep an eye on it.
I think, look, I would say the following. What I would argue is that if you look at crypto, let's break these into pieces. We've taken as a country a position of almost neutrality in some ways. I mean, leaning to prohibitive stance. If we don't take a proactive stance,
well, it's been prohibition through ambiguity, right? It's like we don't know, we're not going to tell you, and we may just sue you into oblivion. So good luck.
Exactly, and it's progressed in spite of that. And I think things I agree with. I think the United States should take a proactive position, and we should put ourselves in a position. If you believe crypto is going to be as pervasive as it looks like it's going to be, we had better take a position where we are establishing the agenda. The only way to do that is to take a stance and use the power position we have in the United States today to work. But again, you have all these conflicts with reserve currency and whatnot. If we don't do it now, it will be a Chinese dominated universe. I think similarly speaking with AI, we have the same thing. Like we have to set the agenda.
I agree with that in principle. Like there's a lot of this agenda moderated and executed properly. I actually agree with. I just want to be on the record about that. It's just the no holes barred, no moderation angle that concerns me a little bit.
I would agree. And AI is similar. I think, look, if we're going to make a mistake, I think we want to have all of the innovation, quantum included, coming from the United States. Like that puts us in a position to set policy, right? So I understand the acceleration argument. Like we shouldn't lose. I get that. That said, if there's one area that we should focus on is what is the definition of super alignment? And again, if you truly believe that these agents become autonomous and then autonomous leads to aware, what are you going to, if you don't start setting up the quote unquote fabric, the social structure between us and that new entity now, I think, and again, it's going to take iteration and thought, then I think you're going to be subject to it. There is a term like the difference between this and any other acceleration movement is the result will be an autonomous entity, right? Like when you were accelerating an internet, we were accelerating those things. These are tools, right? They're always as good or as bad as the humans using it. So you can regulate humans. When you're creating something that can edit itself, take action on its own, the outcome is so different. And that's why I think we can't lose the super alignment principle from a government level down. But it's difficult. This is a difficult topic. We've never had this in history of humanity. We have to say, think about this. And it's very contrarian for the United States. We are a very laissez-faire community. We don't do well with the government telling us you can't, like that's a very European concept to think about your community and then think of the individual.
But here's the thing, and you alluded to this earlier. Super alignment is another way of saying AI slavery. this is a serious and important paradigm shift people need to think about. If we're talking about a super intelligence with something approximating consciousness, when you're talking about aligning it in a super way to our agenda, you're talking about coercion. You're talking about slavery.
You can be. This is the discussion. My point of view is it's just a word. I'm saying alignment. I'm not saying slavery from my perspective. I think that can be an output. I think the current course of speed, when we say AI is a tool, you are on track for that world that you're creating.
Right.
Where it's always subject to you and it's on when you want it and it works the way you want it. I think when you look at alignment, let me give you an example. Very benign example. I would argue that we have, super alignment within the United States. I mean, you can argue it's not all there, but like we have states, right? And we have this light federal government. And we're all copacetic and we're working together and we have trade. We're not enslaved to each other, right? And so we have incentives to work together.
I would describe that as alignment and not super alignment, right? Like,
I use the word super alignment because, again, we're working on the definitions as a community. I only like that because I want to emphasize that if we don't try to really master what is the right relationship where, again, this thing becomes autonomous, and we don't care about it, just again, revert back to history and we're going to have a very difficult period, or our kids are, and I don't want that.
yeah, I mean, we've kind of a little bit straight off the topic, but it is worth pointing out that if you're just trying to align with something as a separate consciousness or entity, there is always going to be a continuous effort to drive that alignment, and that alignment may slip. And I don't know two tribes or cultures that have, many or most of them have ended up in some conflict in some way. You could almost assume humanity is going to get spooked, and you just watch all the sci-fi, right? Like the first strike against the AI, now the AI has to go defend itself. This is it. It's actually quite interesting. It sounds, this all sounds like crazy sci-fi, but it's gone from sci-fi to real things we have to start talking about.
I mean, look, I think that we're in the valley and I think we have a privileged position. I got to work driving in a autonomous car, right? On that autonomous car, I was on a video conference with people who are around the world, who are doing work for citizens of the United States all over the world. That, if I would have told you 10 fucking years ago that was going to be the case, you'd be like, this guy's high. 20 years ago, you would have been like, what the fuck? So what'll happen in 10 years? I mean, you and I both know this. We played this game over and over and over again. Yes, in 2-3 years, we might be overestimating. In 10 years, we are drastically, like, you combine AI, quantum, all of the venture capital getting reloaded back into this environment over the next 10 years. It is going to be crazy, dude. It's going to be fun, I hope. But again, it's the autonomous part of this technology, that output, that final stage, which is the truly new and dangerous piece, which I hope we talk about. And that administration, my guess is that's not going to be the emphasis. My guess is going to be, we have to win those two areas and the United States to control agenda. I think that's part one and that's good. So we'll see. But I don't know. I don't know David well enough.